Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. You know, last year when Jeep first showed photos of their 2014 Cherokee, the online community of Jeep enthusiasts went absolutely bonkers. And by bonkers, I don't mean that they were showing the love for it. In fact, I really can't repeat some of the things I read, but the bottom line is these are the core people of the Jeep brand, the enthusiasts, the off-roaders. They know the Cherokee to be a boxy, square, traditionally styled Jeep that has a lot of off-road capability. So I can't blame them when they see a car-based crossover that's got bold new styling like this with the Cherokee name on it. Well, it was a little bit of a shock to the system, but the bottom line is this is one of the most important new products for the Jeep brand in a long time. It competes against vehicles like the Toyota RAV4, the Honda CR-V, and the Ford Escape. So it had to be new, it had to be bold, and it certainly had to be mainstream as it relates to size, shape, and chassis format such as this, which is a car-based crossover. So we're going to take it out today and see how well it compares to those competitors, but I really also want to find out if it's still a Jeep. The 2014 Jeep Cherokee is the second new vehicle based on platform architecture first derived from the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, which is also shared with the Dodge Dart and now the 2015 Chrysler 200 sedans. Its styling takes some DNA from the popular Jeep Grand Cherokee, but really takes a new turn for the brand with its controversial front grille and headlamp design. Up top are thin horizontal daytime running lights, with the headlights actually residing lower in the front bumper. The look has won many detractors, but with the new Cherokee selling at the rate of about 15,000 units a month, it's obviously been winning some admirers. Those numbers put it right up there with the sales of the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee, not to mention some competitors. With 8.7 inches of ground clearance, it's at the top of its class, and its short overhangs offer up impressive approach and departure angles. In silhouette, it remains a Jeep, with lower body cladding giving a sense of off-road style with long-term durability. Inside the Cherokee is seating for 5 with comfortable chairs both front and rear. Head and leg room is more than adequate for this class, and the seating position for the driver is well placed. Your sense of height is right in the middle between car and truck for outward view. There are a lot of details here on the interior that are really something that you can see that the Jeep team really wanted to show you what the heritage of the Jeep brand was about. One of them is a nice little inscription here in the steering wheel that says, "Since 1941." Another thing that I really noticed was up here on the base of the windshield. When I first looked at it, I thought maybe there was a glob of glue they got done a little sloppily, but in fact, when you look closely, you see it's a silhouette of an original Jeep back from the 1940s. A nice little detail that says they really cared. Overall though, the design on this is pretty much right out of the Dodge Ram Chrysler handbook. Not a bad thing, it's pleasing to look at. One little oddity here though is that the steering wheel angle is a little bus-like. The tilt doesn't necessarily address that, it just goes up and down. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it's actually pretty comfortable. Our Cherokee Limited was optioned up with the technology package, luxury group, and Uconnect touchscreen nav and audio system. Despite my general satisfaction with the cabin, these options brought the price of our Cherokee to $37,000 and some change. This made some of the interior plastics and lower grade switchgear seem a little out of place in my opinion. One thing that I do want to point out is a few details with the Uconnect nav system and the audio system. This is actually a pretty nice system, it's easy to use, and the nav system I like because it has a lot of different ways you can customize it. You can have a 3-dimensional map, a 2-dimensional map, and there's a number of other settings and how it actually works that you can customize where, you know, a lot of cars, they come one way and if you don't like it, well, tough. But what's pretty cool about this is you can actually go in here and you can change the icon of your vehicle. It comes standard with a 3-dimensional blue triangle, and if you start scrolling through here, you get a number of other icons that represent different vehicles. And as you can see, we've got a Ram truck, we've got a Jeep Wrangler, we've got a number of vehicles. There's a Dodge Viper, but there is no Jeep Cherokee. There's a Grand Cherokee there, but There's no icon of the actual vehicle that we're in, and I just find that a little strange. If you just spent 37 grand for a Jeep Cherokee, why not give the buyer an icon of their own vehicle? On the plus side, driver assistance systems such as the blind spot and cross path detection worked well with different chime tones to let you know when each potential danger was at hand, even both at the same time. Rear seat room is impressive with a nice high seating position. Rear seats can fold down, of course, which gives you a near flat load floor to expand the size of the rear cargo area. The latter came with a handy pull cover to shield your valuables from sunlight and prying eyes. Under the hood is the optional 3.2-liter V6, which is derived from the larger 3.6-liter engine that Chrysler introduced a few years ago. In the Cherokee, it offers up 271 horsepower and 239 pound-feet of torque. Mated to a segment-first 9-speed automatic transmission, it's good for 19 miles to the gallon city, 27 miles to the gallon highway, and 22 miles to the gallon combined as rated by the EPA. As we drive along, this powertrain is actually pretty nice with a 3.2-liter V6. The engine's quiet, it's smooth, and it gets pretty good gas mileage. So far, we're averaging about 24 miles to the gallon for our week of testing. And the power is actually pretty good, 271 horsepower, not bad for a 3.2-liter V6. Now, the only area where I'm really finding fault with the powertrain is this 9-speed automatic transmission. It's just really sort of a fussy, fidgety gearbox. When you're driving around town and stop and go traffic, it really does a lot of hunting and pecking around for the right gear. And when you're stopping and going, like in average everyday traffic, it really clunks and shifts hard quite a bit. So, you know, that goes back to last summer when they were getting ready to launch the Cherokee. They were having a lot of trouble with the software getting it right, and I think that it's an area they really still need to do a little bit of tuning on. The chassis is fully independent with McPherson struts up front and a multi-link rear suspension, all of which aim to provide a ride free of noise, vibration, and harshness. As with most new vehicles, it has electrically assisted power steering, which helps save fuel. On the pavement, the Jeep Cherokee's actually got very good road manners. The steering has a nice solid feel to it, and the ride is pretty well isolated and quiet. On curves, it's just got a nice response to it. It doesn't have a lot of body roll, and it doesn't feel top heavy, as it shouldn't. Most car-based crossovers drive pretty much like a car, perhaps with a slightly stiffer suspension. Our Jeep Cherokee had the basic Active Drive 1 all-wheel drive system with the console-mounted knob, which offers drive mode programs of auto, snow, sport, as well as sand and mud. These alter the traction control, ABS, and transmission behaviors to best navigate each surface type. This system does not, however, have a low range or manual locking mode like the optional Active Drive 2. When you take the Jeep Cherokee off the pavement and start going up steep hills and out here in gravel roads where traction is low, I actually find it pretty impressive. This has what's known as a passive all-wheel drive system, which means it's always in front-wheel drive until such time as it determines that you're getting some slippage up there, and then it'll automatically lock and give you that all-wheel drive. And some of the vehicles that have this system tend to really wait too long before it does that, and you don't have a smooth transition. But as I'm starting to go up these really steep hills on these loose surfaces and go over some rocks and things like that, I'm just not detecting any change as it's losing traction on the gravel. And it's just actually nice to have an option in this particular category that does have a little bit of true off-road capability. My big takeaway this week for the Jeep Cherokee is the fact that it remains the Jeep of car-based crossovers. It just has a nice feel when you're out on the back roads, and it just has a little bit more in the way of capability and off-road feel than most of its competitors, which have long run for the mall parking lot. The only areas I really had to complain about were the interior that feels probably plenty fine at the $23,000 base level, but when you option it up like this one at close to $38,000, some of the details in there, they start feeling a little cheap and out of place. The other thing is that transmission. The 9-speed transmission really does still need a little bit of tuning work to get to feel just right. So this week I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride.